Hello and good morning. This Saturday morning, if you're on the West Coast, it's around 10 o'clock your time, and the East Coast around 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. This is the week of February 10th of 2018 on Finance Talk. Today we got some interesting things to show you, specifically on this topic. And first of all, thank you for being here and taking your time to really listen through and watch this presentation. So today we're going to have a pretty standard set of things that we're going to discuss specifically on the side of business and personal growth. So I wanted to take my time and give you this presentation so that you can take away some knowledge, information, and things that you can implement quickly and efficiently on your side, on your financial plan. So let's go over some of these things. So here's a couple of things we'll be covering today in more detail. So please pay attention to them. The first thing we'll do is we'll discuss the idea of starting a business properly, especially those who are thinking about it or those who are in the verge of actually pushing yourself over to the next side to make that decision and hope and faith that you will be successful. Also, we'll talk about how to make yourself more valuable. And this is especially the area of financial services and finance in perspective that, what can you do to your balance sheet, to your credit, to your financial plan that will make you infinitely more valuable to the people that you go out to reach credit for or that you want to borrow. We also discussed the idea of being either a conservative or an aggressive investor, and we talk about the difference in both, on what side you probably want to choose depending on what your goals are financially, what you want to achieve, either short to long term, where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, and all sorts of other things. And then, of course, the last thing we will discuss, and it's an interesting topic, is the idea of flipping money, the business of flipping money. How do you do that? What are the different elements in flipping money? So a lot of people go into different business models and they think that, okay, it's just business, but in reality, it's really the vehicle of any business is to make money. So the idea of flipping money boils down to utilizing funds for different alternative motives and purposes that will lead to some sort of financial reaction or satisfaction. So here's the first thing, right? Like, business is not for everyone. Those who start in business are very passionate. They're compassionate. They want to grow. They want to succeed. They want to build relationships. They want to go out there, expose a brand, and try to create something great. But with that said, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So business is definitely not for everyone. Certain individuals don't have the idea or don't like the idea of starting a business, and they obviously get scared. And there can be many reasons, right? Like, they don't want to leave a secure job behind, a 9 to 5 position, where they have a fixed paycheck every week or month or whatever it is that they have on schedule, and they feel that that's something scary for them to make that leap of faith to jump into a business is something that they don't want to take a risk with, and for that reason alone, decide that, what, business is not for me. Also, one of the things about business is, like, I call this the principle of 3 Ps. It's you need to have patience, you need to plan, and you need to problem solve. Okay, these are the elements in business that you absolutely need to start with. So if you don't have the idea of making yourself more patient, if you can't plan, or don't have the idea of planning and organizing, or can't solve problems, especially for your clientele, the people that you're going to be serving, based on your products and services, probably not good idea to start a business. And this is important because you have to realize these 3 Ps before you actually start considering to start a business. Um, Ultimately, you'll also need a goal, right? Like, you want to generate a lot of money. A lot of people want to do that. That's a big aim. But what is it about your business that you want to define and clearly want to make stand out, to the people that you're going to be serving, or your competitors, or the industry and niche? Like, what's your contribution going to be? So you have to figure that out. You need to understand that, okay, well, my goal in business, for example, is to create, affordable housing, for example, and use that to complement the United States government and the people that are retiring faster than ever before, and to be able to give them an opportunity to stay somewhere safe in a great community, and to be able to do it so affordably. So that could be a mission statement for your business, but you need one. You need to have a goal in mind, and you need to pursue that goal wholeheartedly when you're starting a business with, of course, the 3 principles, the 3 Ps that we talked about. So one of the worst things that can happen is a lot of people go through significant loss. And the reason why they go through significant loss is because they're actually not prepared. Not being prepared when you're starting a business is very dangerous. It's a position that nobody wants to be in. But unfortunately, some are actually fall victim of that, and they go into business unprepared, right? And when that happens, they go through loss. And this loss can be financial loss, it could be credibility loss, it could be people, relationships, anything that you feel is valuable that would have either turned around and contributed positively to your business, but instead it ended up being negative and people went through loss. So a lot of people go through that when they're starting a business. And the reason why it's because, again, they don't have the three P's, the three principles. So for that reason, business should always be considered when you're willing to accept those three elements, which are, like I said, patience, planning, and problem solving. Planning consists of many different things: organization, being really well documented, being very thorough with whatever you're doing. Problem solving is obviously looking at the issues that your niche and target market is, and figuring out a way to do things better, more efficiently, easier for those customers. And of course, you need the patience. You need to have the time and the patience to create those type of structures so that you can successfully build the business empire that, of course, will succeed. So that's the most part for why the reason a lot of people don't want to go into business. So we have to talk about how to start it properly, right? Like, if you ever considered going over that step, that boundary to start a successful business, you've probably already thought, okay, well, what are some of the things that I need to know now so that Ali, I can actually successfully start a business? So one of the key elements in doing so is you have to understand your strengths, weaknesses, and skills. You have to document them. You have to see what are some of the things that I'm really good at. What are some of the skills that I'm really good at? Some of the strengths that I can actually utilize on my side to be very successful. And of course, truthfully and realistically, you have to document your weaknesses, because some of the things that you have that are you're weak at, well, others can actually help and complement that weakness. And that's basically creating like a puzzle piece, right? So business is like a puzzle. You have to complete it. You have to basically assign different pieces, and you have to make sure they're match and they're compatible with each other. So with business partners, same thing. Compatibility is a very big thing. You won't know until you actually put yourselves to the test. But again, if it's well defined, if it makes sense, if it's well documented, and for the most part, I think that that shouldn't be an issue, and you can pretty much overcome that. Another thing that you want to look at is you always want to be ready to wear multiple hats at the same time. When you're in business, you're alone at the first, couple of months, maybe a couple of years. If you have partners, same concept, right? But you guys have to be accountable, right? You have to create a system for accounting, sales, organization. You have to wear the hat for business development, even relationship management, and so on and so forth. So when you start a business, one of the things you have to realize is, if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to wear many hats at the same time. It's because if you don't, what'll end up happening is you're gonna lack in one area, and then it's can potentially cripple your business or your growth. So just be ready for that. Ultimately, what you want to do is you want to document exactly what clients you want. Also, because we talked about customer avatar, we say, look, these are the type of clientele that I'm looking for. This is the reason why. It's because the problems that I solve are based on those pain points, and these are the ideal customers who will need that. Because at the end of the day, you can have a great business, right? They can have a great business, but if nobody's actually buying whatever you're offering, whether it's a product or service or consulting, it really is not going to do anything for you. You're not going to make any money. So you can do business for branding, but ultimately, like, you need to make money. So you have to think about your customers. You have to document, like I said, and create a process in terms of how you're going to reach those exact customers and how you're going to be successful in doing so, and the process of sales, the accounting, the business relationship, and all sorts of other things. Uh, Also, a key element in starting a business is you have to make sure that you don't start without actually thinking of building corporate credit. Now, I say this with very heavy heart, because a lot of people go into business, they have a good strategy and everything, but they lack the funding to back it. And when they go out to investors and stuff, they don't have the capability to raise capital, because they have no skin in the game, or they haven't committed any capital. Unfortunately, this is in most cases, about 80% of the cases that I see. A lot of other people basically have the funds behind them, but they're not really well prepared. So it actually counterintuitively goes against the grain. So a big element in starting a small business, right? Like, if you want to start a business with 50,000 or so, it can be a good position to be in, right? Because at least you have the capital. If they say, well, how much are you committed? I have 50,000 in credit to have some capital here, and I'm willing to go all in. I'm looking for investors to back my idea. There's a whole different story, because now it shows, okay, well, you have something there that you've worked hard to build. So business credit is really something that you want to consider, especially when you're starting a business, especially if you want to be successful. Okay, because another thing you want to remember is it's the backbone and financial strategy. You have emergencies, well, you can use business credit, and you can also build solid financial relationships in the process. So, how to make yourself more valuable financially, right? How to make yourself more valuable financially. Now, this is a topic that starts with a series of questions that you need to answer and be honest with yourself, right? The first question is, how solid is your personal financial plan? We discuss a lot in Best Credit Resources .com the idea of personal financial plan. Now, what is that exactly, right? So, it's essentially looking at your financial condition, your credit, your budget, your short term and long term goals, and it could be a 6 to 12 month plan, and how you plan on enhancing or improving your condition from point A to going to point B. And what are some of the tools and resources that you're using along the way, right? Do you have cash that can be used at any time without any restrictions? Do you have funds lying around that you can pull based on your discretion? And if you don't, then why is that, right? And in the past 3 years, how many creditors did you deal with? Are you building new relationships? Are you enhancing the existing relationships? Are you negotiating for better rates? Are you merging accounts? Are you building new ones with the same institutions? So in the past 3 years, right, how many creditors did you deal with? And of course, if I were to ask you that question, then I'm going to ask you, okay, based on that, what is the strongest financial relationship that you have? What's the biggest account that you have? How proud of you of that account? How did you build that relationship? And then of course, how respected are you in that creditor's eye? And one of the biggest things is, what's the most what is the financial milestone that you achieved so far that you can comfortably say that you're so proud of? Okay, so that's something that can be like, I purchased my home with last year, and I had a stellar financial plan, and I'm paying down my mortgage, and I'm comfortable in a good financial spot. That could be some milestone on a personal level for you. But that's something you got to ask yourself. Now, here's is some clue and a hint, right? If you reverse engineer exactly what those questions are, and you work on that and you build on that, then you should be good to go. Essentially, like, to be more valuable financially, to make more of yourself successful, it's basically, you have to go through that. You have to digest those questions and basically reverse engineer it so that you can see, okay, well, how solid is your financial plan? And you can say, well, my financial plan is solid because of A, B, and C, and you built that. You say, well, do you have cash without any restrictions? And you say, yes, I do. And then you just work on building that. You say, in the past 3 years, how many creditors did you deal with? Well, maybe if you haven't, then you build that and you go on a 3-year plan, right? What's the strongest financial relationship? Well, it can be business, anything that you have with financial institutions. And if you don't have it, then you build that. And then you build and work towards your financial milestone of the same, because it falls within that financial plan category, virtually. So look at those elements and try to work on that for creating yourself and making yourself more valuable financially. Well, the topic of investor is very simple. It's idea of, if you're going into real estate investing, or if you're investing in a business, or if you're investing in stocks or bonds, whatever it is in the public eye, what you want to do is, you want to consider the element of what kind of investor you are. What was your inner investor? So whether it's a small or large investment choice, everyone needs to decide on which side they'll be playing on. And the reason I say this is because expectations, right? Reasonable expectations need to be set internally with your subconscious, with the way you are, with the way you deal. You need to set those expectations from the get-go. So conservative investors typically create long-term yields, which is true, and they're less rewarding, they're lower, but they're also preserve the capital's value, right? That means that long-term the capital stays intact, although the yield is very small, but it's safe and it's long-term. Whereas aggressive investors have a tendency of making quick and tactical choices by speculating that they will win big, which is like, for example, stocks or bonds, or let's say Bitcoin, for example, right? But when the loss happens, right, they face significant risk of possibly losing all of the capital, if not like a majority of it. So those are the two choices. Now, this is based on like aggressive investing style, right? You can also have aggressive investing style in, let's say, real estate. Going in and buying like a destroyed home, and then typically rebuilding it, rehabbing it, and then making a choice of quickly flipping it to make a good profit. And it doesn't always go the way that you plan. So you can possibly end up waiting a couple of years just on the property because nobody's purchasing it, because you hit the market at the wrong time. So that can be something aggressive. But long term here is that you have to decide, what you're more comfortable with, and what you're willing to do when certain situations don't work out as you planned. So it's important to identify your inner investor prior to engaging in any investment activities. You need to know this, because I keep emphasizing this point even on the last week's talk, is that if you don't know that, the risk of you not really walking away with profit is very high. So as part of your financial plan, you have to lay out exactly what type of investor you will be and why you will be that investor. And the reason why is you have to define, okay, well, the reason I want to be conservative is because I have responsibilities in A, B, and C, or the reason I can be aggressive is because I have discretionary capital that I believe if I make strategic and smart choices can return a significant win based on strategic metrics, tactical metrics that I feel is a good market indicator, or so on and so forth. So you have to decide that in your financial plan, lay it out, and document it. So let's talk about the business of flipping money. We discussed this at the very beginning, in the introduction. What is the business of flipping money? What does that consist of, and how can you make the most out of it? So the thing is, the business of flipping money is essentially a point of leveraging, right? It's a point of leveraging. We all heard of that term leveraging, and we can define it in many different ways in our own perspective and opinions and personal and professional experiences. But leveraging really consists of multiple units. So people flip money all the time and they don't realize it, right? Like they either make certain purchases and then basically without realizing what happened is they either get the gain or they gain a loss. And unfortunately, a lot of people flip it the wrong way and then they realize a loss. So the ways that we look at flipping money, right? It can be to realize a gain either financially, it could be a personal gain, emotional, spiritual, etc., etc. So, if you're using dollars to convert them into some sort of product or service or to convert it into sort of outcome, it's considered a flip and a sense of business, right? It's really, taking dollars and converting it through an experience, through a product, service, an outcome that actually gives you some sort of gain financially, personally, emotionally, or spiritually, or other arenas that you feel good about. So the best use of flipping money is when you're gaining more financially quickly and more efficiently. There are many different scenarios, and investors typically fall into that category, but also business owners and individuals who are smart about their money will basically fall into this category. So if you're using credit cards, for example, and are paying off debt quicker, and you're using it a good way, of course you're paying interest rate. But what happens, like if you go back to the same creditor, you can end up increasing your credit limits and leverage that, right? Like for example, if you use that credit limit and you turn it into line of credit, and then eventually you'll go into real estate investing, just by paying small interest rates and just working that relationship with a financial institution and maintaining your credit. You're flipping your money on a regular basis, but what it's doing is you're working the muscles and the engine behind credibility, behind leveraging that to position yourself better financially and more efficiently to make stronger and bigger financial choices ultimately, right? So there's a model that we call high ticket money flipping, right? High ticket money flipping is people who actually have some money. Of course, they're responsible, but they know how to leverage that to make a good return in a very short period of time. So if you become an investor and a business owner at the same time without lifting a finger, how would that sound to you, right? That would sound amazing, wouldn't it? Of course, if it gives you a positive outcome, if you don't have to do much and just sit around and wait until your money grows to a comfortable position, then who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to benefit from that, right? So the quickest, fastest way to build substantial wealth is based on a proven process. If you don't have a proven process or system, it's going to be very difficult. You can quite frankly struggle all you want, and the outcome won't be achieved. So it's important that you know exactly how to do it, and then you position yourself to run it from there. So one of the processes that we use for flipping money to a lot of our individuals and clients and family members here at Best Credit Resources and Private Wealth Club, quite frankly, is the idea of sponsoring a business credit building package where we help an entrepreneur who needs credit through no PG, which is no personal guarantee funding. And then in exchange for that, the person who's putting up the capital or sponsoring the business is actually taking equity in that same company that he's sponsoring. And basically, once the funds are realized, which is a 6-month plan, they basically pay themselves back from the acquisition. And since it's completely it's risk free, we've mitigated. The great part of that risk is because it's no personal guarantee, so the risk is absolutely minimized, which is the beauty of this program. So to give you an idea of a typical deal and how it can look like to flip good money for high ticket sales or production is you work on a corporate package. You put up 7,000 for a 6-month structuring process, which is typical. This is our most exclusive product. It's a 6-month program. We build that out for you and the client who's actually looking for that. Then we do a $50,000 credit on the corporate entity. Of course, it can go higher, and there are some great examples of this. But we say a minimum guaranteed of 50,000. And then what happens now is from that, you actually realize to pay yourself back because, again, you don't want to ever be stuck with debt. So you pay yourself back. Your company assumes that. And then with the 43,000, what you can do is you can use it as a down payment, right? You can pay yourself. There's a structure of liquidating the cards in a very low rate. at the very beginning. It usually comes with promotional rates, which is great. And then you can use that to, let's say, put it down towards a $200,000 home, get a private loan on it, fix it and flip it. And then what would do is, let's say, based on your contribution, because you're putting the down payment, you take 70% of the profit. So let's say you made $30,000 profit, right? Let's say you assumed to fix the property, you flipped it, and in a matter of, let's say, 3 months, you get 30,000. And then that means 21,000 because you're taking 70% of that profit. And then the rest is given to your partner, which is the rest of the 9,000. So for somebody who really hasn't really put down any money, he's putting all the good work and effort and flipping properties, and him making 9,000 from it. It's a good gain. It's a good gain for a lot of individuals, and especially if they do that on a higher scale, right? So you can get your money back, pay down your company debts that you used, like the 43,000, and then cycle the whole process over and over again, and then just continue through that process. And what happens now is that you basically keep the number simple, right? If you look at this concept, what I just explained on a low scale, if you were to do 5 of these deals every year, you'd realize a profit of $105,000. And this is going based on the average of 21,000 profit realized per flip. Assuming you did 10 deals in a year, because again, you want to be more aggressive, you want to continue doing those deals, you can make actually $210,000 a year just on 10 deals on a $200,000 property. Okay. Of course, this is assuming you're dealing with low end deals. You can flip more, you can do bigger deals, you can combine multiple entities and bring, those cash lines of credit and credit into one account and merge it into an LLC membership, and then utilize those funds like a hedge fund would, and go into the business of flipping really aggressively with strategic partners that are actually very good at what they do with a good portfolio, and work with a series of different lenders to achieve the same outcome. So you can do a lot with this, right? It's just really like, this is the idea of flipping the money. It's not just about flipping properties. It's really utilizing your financial strategy and plan to go into this business in a very aggressive style that will actually give you good yield on a safe and secure manner, on a quick period of time. So it's not also uncommon that investors look at this strategy and say, well, I don't want to invest in real estate, but I want to actually use it for business activities. I want to invest in businesses I feel will be very high potential. And then you sponsor that company. Although credit amounts and everything like that will come under the company name that you assign, you create, and then you help that business owner realize. But you use that business owner, because what happens is corporate credit is you actually need different addresses for different entities, even if it's no PG. So what you can do is you can have that business owner who's looking for a sponsor like you as an investor to say, can you front the capital to start a business credit package, which is the 7,000, which is hands free, by the way. The reason why it's 7, it's hands free. So we work out with our credit technicians the process and the building. And then once we have it, you use that person's address, because they're the ones looking for sponsorship, but it's actually in your company name. You're the one who actually has control over it. Nothing can be done without your saying or you assigning the capital. So the beauty of that is that everything's actually a process control. There's great security, there's great comfort. The control is always with the idea of you, because you assign the capital based on what's required, and then you control the deal. And ultimately, what happens is that person actually has a financial sponsor who can actually back him for the transaction he wants to do. And eventually, if he wants to go on his own, he can. But the beauty is you actually building backable relationships in the process and increasing your capability in the same time. So this is actually the beauty of flipping money. So with that said, what is your strategy? Like, what will you be doing to flip your money? Right? What will you be doing to flip your money? So based on what I've explained today in Finance Talk, it's very simple. Based on the next few couple of weeks or months, what are some of the strategies that you're going to be applying, that you feel will help you achieve more financially, by flipping the money strategy that I just described? So I want to offer you something, because you're here today and you've probably been listening to me a couple of weeks now. I'm going to give you a 4-day mini course. And I announced this in the last week's talk. I don't know if a lot of people paid attention, but I want you to really benefit from this course, because what you'll be learning is the 3 ingredients of successful credit repair. You'll actually see me in camera talking to you and giving you this strategy for a good 10 minutes now. There are 4 videos. So you actually, in the second video, learn on how to build a financial condition that attracts more capital. We talk about that. We talk about planning properly and some cash flow issues that you can have, that how to resolve those issues. Also, you learn how to instantly increase your net worth by 5 to 10 times, based on those strategies, and what you can do to benefit instantly on the strategy that's deployed there. So that video is very important. A lot of people actually enjoy that one. And then finally, last but not least, you can actually learn how to fail-proof your financial strategy so that you can gain more quickly and more efficiently than ever before. So as a bonus, of course, as part of that 4-day mini course, I actually give away a checklist, a complete checklist with all the videos and the content described, in addition to an exclusive free training, behind the scenes training. That training is actually very good, because a lot of people learn quite a bit of stuff with that training. Some of the things that are in there are actually some things that I don't share in Finance Talk. So I want you to actually look through that video course and take away, whatever information and strategy you can, because it's truly exclusive to Best Credit Resources. So to get access to this course, you can actually go to bestcreditresources.com/free course. Again, that's bestcreditresources.com/free course, or there's a link actually below the video that you can click on. That's just going to take you straight to the course page, and you can register. It's just putting in your email, and then what we'll do is we'll deliver the videos to you on your inbox. So keep an eye out for that. So again, thank you for attending Finance Talk this week. I appreciate you being here, of course, as usual. I always appreciate if you can actually give me any comments, feedbacks, or if you have any questions that you want me to answer. And as you noticed today, we didn't go in through Q&A. It's because most of the questions that I answered were already part of the previous video. So I had some clients reach out, and then we basically referred them to the previous video. But for any other questions related to what we talked about today, flipping money, or looking into business credit, or strategizing a financial plan to integrate business credit so that you can do real estate successfully without any personal guarantee, or where to find the deals, please reach out to me at talk@bestcreditresources.com. And of course, we look forward to seeing you. And next week, we will discuss further strategies and financial concepts. Thank you for listening. This is your guide and mentor, Ali Tarafdar. I'll see you next week.